YouTube, what the corny crap is going on? Archaon of HeirofCarthage here. Yeah, okay, so that was a bit different. It was a request from one of the comments on the last episode. Had to throw it in there for Count Saruman. Yes, you might notice things sound a little different. That's because I'm on the road recording this episode, doing some business travel, but the end times don't rest, folks. Get ready. Alright, so speaking of comments from last time, let me read through a couple real quick because we had some real good ones. Derek Guerrero says, it began with seeking the treasures of chaos, 6 artifacts of ancient evil bestowed upon he who completed mighty tasks designed by the gods themselves, for within these relics was bound the strength and power to bring forth the end times, and they were not deceived. Deep in the land of Norska, in the fires of war, the ever-chosen herald of the apocalypse forged a master army, and into this force he poured his cruelty, malice, and his will to end all. One by one, the free lands of the old world fell to the power of chaos, but there were some who resisted. A last alliance of steel and faith marched against the armies of the ever-chosen, and on the very plains of Talabheim they fought for the freedom of the old world. Victory was near, but the power of chaos could not be undone. Insert dying Franz instantly to Archaon. It was in this moment when all hope had faded. The Volkmar the Grim, Grand Theogenist of Sigmar, rallied the armies of the Emperor. The destiny of the Empire of Man passed to Volkmar, who had this one chance to destroy evil forever. But the hearts of men are easily defeated, and the Grand Theogenist had no desire to die. He betrayed his soldiers, leaving them to die on the battlefield, and so the last chance of the Empire ended, and the end times was upon them. Oh man, that was good. Adapting Lord of the Rings, I like it, Derek. Thanks. Alright, the next comment came in from Matthew Westhoven, who says, can Appius get the title of Vampire Layer? Yes, he can. I mean, he was the one that suggested that if he was immortal, that he would just go for it. So, here we go. So, Appius just can't control his appetites. Alright, and as for the Metal Sorcerer, I asked you all to name them, and I think the comment that had the most upvotes here was to name the Chaos Sorcerer Sigvald's Polisher, because he keeps everything in Sigvald's army polished and beautiful in a way that Sigvald would be happy with. So, we'll leave his name there as Jorhul, and we'll call him Sigvald's Polishing Agent. I don't think it's all going to fit in here. Polish. Yeah. Sigvald's Polish. We'll just leave it like that. And I kind of want the... Oh, yep, there it goes. Alright, sweet. And if you all have any comments, please leave them below. Those comments are awesome. It always gives me direction on where we want to go in the campaign. I love reading through them, and I read through every single one of the comments. And obviously those that get a whole bunch of attention will incorporate into each new episode. Now, on this episode, people had a pretty good idea, which was that we should swing Sigvald north, maybe take out a few rats along the way, and then go ahead and clean up the vampires here, subjugate some of the Norscan factions, and then move our way over to Ulthuan so that we can kind of properly get the north completely subdued again. And I think that's a pretty good plan. Archaon will continue to focus on the Empire, and Kolek will continue to move south, finish the vampires, and take the war to the Greenskins, who have gotten quite haughty, thinking that they're strong while they're just taking over settlements that I lay waste to and leave wide open for them. So we're not going to be tolerating that in any sense. Archaon can go ahead and siege Talabheim. Well, I say that, I think I'm going to break the siege just so he can back up and go into a proper encampment, get replenished, and then destroy the city properly. Well, look who's begging for peace. It isn't Wulfric the dog. He will become a vassal, so Wulfric knows his place in the end times hierarchy here. So, welcome back to the flock, Wulfric the subjugated. Well, here we are. Talabheim, reeking of the stench of fear, now ready to fall. We will invade, Archaon, we will invade. I'm wondering whether there's any purpose to actually waiting to invade the settlement. Let me see if this is a custom map. I want to fell the city and take the favor. Wow, I thought we had a crash there. It is not a custom map. Alright, let's just go ahead and invade the city. Should be relatively easy for us to win. Welcome to the second battle of Talabheim, where the chosen armies of Archaon are going to be approaching the walls. Appius and Sextus are going to play a big role here because there's going to be artillery within the walls that has to be taken out. When the time comes, Archaon will go to try and break down the gates. Now, he is not Kolek, so this process could take some time. So we'll just have to be patient with that. Let's head on over to the city here. Sorry, I was trying to get my controls set up properly. Like I said, recording on a laptop, very different in a hotel room. Let's check out the armies of Talabheim. After having seen their friends recently destroyed in the battle in the plains of Talabheim, the last defenders attempt a last heroic holdout of their homeland. You can see it here. The artillery is actually back near the center of the settlement. It's going to be 2 howitzers, and it is well guarded by a pretty large number of Empire Knights. I'll just kind of show you everything that's back here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Empire Knights, and then a 5th up front here. So there is a lot of Empire Knights. Enough that I'm pretty concerned about just attacking headlong with 2 Manticore, as they are not dedicated anti-large units. I'm going to have to be a little bit careful here to not get overwhelmed by heavily armored cavalry that isn't going to want to break because of the leadership bonus received by this captured point here in the center of the settlement. So what I'm going to do is swing in behind the howitzers, and I want to try and go for quick destructive terror charges, essentially. So Appius and Sextus together again, and it feels so good, right? So the first howitzer takes a lot of damage. The Empire Knights go to react, and I get back in the air, and then I come up with kind of a plan here. If I can get Sextus to attack, he is the stronger of the 2, and just in terms of stats. He's going to be able to pin down our enemies and see if I can use a Pit of Shades, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and let Sextus take the full brunt of these 3 cavalry units. And then Appius will use his magic to assist his comrade here, his Chaos Roman. Because of the density of the Empire Knight formation, they will take tremendous damage from the Pit of Shades. The denser you can get a unit and pack it into there, the damage just gets more intense. So you can see basically all 3 units of Knights wiped out as Sextus picks up a quick 76 kills with a Pit of Shades on the cavalry. They're going to continue that fight back there, and more Empire Knights are going to find their way back and create a very challenging situation. Meanwhile, back on the walls, I've sent some Chosen with great weapons, with ladders, to begin to scale the walls and defeat the enemies who hold them. This won't be much of a challenge. Anything on the walls here will be quite easily defeated. And I'm going to start moving Archaon over to take out the gates. You can see him making his way in that direction, but it will take him some time to tear the gates down because he is not a Shaggoth. Anyway, the pounding on the walls continues for a while. Meanwhile, a bit of a situation has developed back here. Appius and Sextus have now been trapped on the ground by the remaining units of Empire Knights. We killed 3, and there were 2 more full units and 1 that regrouped. We don't have anti-large. We're not particularly anti-armor here with either one of these. So I make a desperate bid to get Appius free so that I can once again try and get away in order to drop a Pit of Shades, and I'm able to pull just far enough away that we get a second Pit of Shades here. So the Empire Cavalry has twice been jebaited here as Appius gives them some extremely painful magic, and once again it is very effective on 2 of the units. 1 unit remains in fairly decent shape, though I get a second Helm of Discord here, and I'm able to bring up Appius again, and I'm going to ready a Overcast Penumbral Pendulum in the hopes that we can do some extra armor-piercing damage and see if we can get rid of the rest of these Empire Knights. I'm trying to do everything I can to aid Sextus in this relatively desperate fight. They had to shut down the artillery, or else we would have taken an enormous amount of infantry damage that was just wholly unnecessary. So there's the Pendulum. It does okay. It's not great, but I'm now able to charge in, and we're going to try and put an end to these Empire Knights. But another unit that we broke has regrouped yet again. These Empire Knights are basically fighting to the death. Their Empire Captain dies, and you can see these Empire Knights here still fighting. I go ahead and use Occam's Mind Razor. Appius uses it on himself and gets up to 654 weapon damage. So he's able to dish out a ton more damage, and he gets 162 kills. Archaon's still working the gates, but he's not breaking through anytime soon, and I've got 1 unit of the Dawi Cleavers here is chasing down some handgunners. They were trying to pop pot shots off, while the rest of my Chaos with great weapons are cutting their way through the defenders, who hopelessly attempt to keep their loved ones from the impending apocalypse. There is no escape. The people of Talabheim should have known their fate when the first battle ended with Archaon. It was time to either flee for their lives or give in. Alright, Talabheim is crushed after their emperor was crushed nearby. A fitting end to a pathetic city full of weaklings. Oh, the favor. We're almost up to 600,000 favor for the Dark Gods. Say we're doing alright for ourselves. What do you folks think? Yeah, we're doing okay. So, Archaon proving that much as I commented, reading the comment, I should say at first, Archaon is absolutely going strong. There is no slowdown for him. None at all. His army is indeed the chosen. Let's see. Let's head out of the encampment momentarily with Sigvald. Yeah, I expected we were going to run into Skaven here. Let's look at the scout the terrain. Alright. Yeah, let's fight this real quick. We've got a decent battle up against quite a few rats. They've got 1 artillery piece. We should be able to own them. Here we go. Sigvald once again encounters the vermin rats. You can see him standing here in front of his army. The artillery barrage beginning in this amazing looking underground setting here. The Skaven do have a warp lightning cannon, but my own hell cannons should overbear them in terms of ranged firepower. You can see the warp lightning cannon actually taking a shot. Skaven army approaches. No doubt trailing behind them, a lot of stench, feces, and disease, which is about all they're good at. There's going to be a huge amount of warp lightning hitting my army, and that is a huge problem when you fight the Skaven. They use warp lightning often, and they use it until their magic is completely exhausted, and it is pretty good actually at doing armor-piercing damage. See, my infantry is going to move forward and clash with all the clan rat infantry. My infantry is far superior, but this is not the ward save, physical resistance, extremely upgraded Chosen of Archaon's army. These Chaos Warriors are tough, but they are much more mortal than what you all are used to with Archaon's army, so that is a pitfall I'm going to have to avoid. I cannot count on Sigvald's army to absolutely hack through enemy troops in the same manner that Archaon's army does. So there is a big infantry fight, and these infantry fights won't necessarily quickly or at all swing in my favor. So the plan of my approach here to winning this is to take Sigvald and his chaos a character here, and they're going to go in and try and assassinate the Skaven leadership. By getting rid of the Skaven leadership, boy, they are really whipping this guy around. He's caught in a mousetrap there. So yeah, the Skaven leadership is going to be taking a solid beating, and with it, any hopes of being able to survive this battle. My Chaos Knights have crushed the Warp Lightning Cannon, and they'll swing back around. My Hell Cannons are pounding away at, kind of conglomerated pockets of infantry, and I'm going to send some reinforcements over here. Warriors with halberds are actually somewhat pathetic in anything other than an anti-large scenario. They're not quite like their Chosen brothers, but they've held out long enough, and I'm trying to send some reinforcements, and I'm going to use a Golden Hound here in order to rip apart some of the Skaven infantry. Able to collapse in here and cause some pretty extensive damage. Though there is a fair amount of storm vermin with halberds and some clan rats with shields still in that vicinity. Over here, my knights with lances able to rout the summoned clan rats that are attempting to silence my artillery. A warlock engineer has gotten back here as well, but we're going to attack him with aspiring champions. Should be able to quickly put him back into a rout, so my Hell Cannons will not be silenced. See over here, a tough fight. Got clan rats and storm vermin taking on the warriors with halberds. They are managing to hold their own for now, which is good. After having defeated the leadership, a character and Sigvald come back and help rout the infantry in the center. So the Skaven lines break wide open. They only have one leader left. It's a Plague Priest back here wavering, and I've got cavalry units inbound. And at this point, the chain rout kicks off in full, and the rats are utterly defeated. Zavastra has fallen. Alright, so probably not the best micro on my part. I'm trying to get used to these controls on my laptop. Different mouse, different keyboard, different chair. It is awkward, folks. It is awkward. But don't worry about it. We got it. Sigvald the Magnificent is going to be having the polish rat blood and guts out of all of the soldiers' shields for many days to come. Shields, swords, everything. I wonder if you can make a fine metal polish out of Skaven blood and guts. What do you guys think? Is Skaven gore good for anything? Is there a market for that? I mean, is it still like really high warpstone content by percentage? It's like a drug almost. Alright, here we go. So Sigvald levels up. He's finished his Blessed by Chaos. Hammer into Anvil would be good, but I mean also we probably should do Route Marcher and then Tribes of Chaos first. I mean our Chaos Warriors are going to be pretty potent as it is, and think that they'll do just fine. But we'll finish up those buffs when the appropriate time comes. Kolek can now move on through the mountains. The god of the mountains. Indeed. He is certainly worthy of that title at this point after what he's done to his enemies, especially those in the mountains. We don't have any missions or quests right now, so leaves us in a good position to end the turn. Archaon is ready to be on the move again. I'd like to fully replenish Sextus before moving forward, and we have a fleet of, what is this, Middenheim? Yeah, a fleet of Middenheim sitting right in our way in the middle of the river. Interesting. I'm going to just enter an encampment with Archaon. There's nothing that he needs to build right now. Handsome and lethal. Sigvald, I mean, that voice. That voice, though. If we go to Kislev, we're going to get bogged down in a siege. And I'm honestly not super interested in even fighting these Skaven. I'd be happier if they were my vassal. So we might see if they would be willing. They're not. They're not. So the rats must be taught some more lessons about who is their master. So Slanish's scion is going to march towards Kislev. Enter the encampment. And then let's go ahead and build this Chaos Rift, where we'll be able to get Chaos Spawn and Feral Manticore. So I think, yeah, that leaves Kolek. He's going to march on. He's going to march on towards Karakadrin. The vampires holding up in old, rotted out dwarf holes.
Has already told me your offer, but I will hear it from your lips all the same.
What do you want, rat? Listen, you know the cost of peace. Ambusher discovered? Niels the Glutton? The guy sounds just like me. I mean, my name's not Niels, but I think I've got that glutton part down. Alright. I think we're going to go ahead and just take out Hirgig. So it's going to be a lot of sieging for Archaon and his troops. I'm going to actually sit still and build towers this time. It's just easier than trying to march up to the side of the walls every time. Let's go ahead and check the map layout. See what we're up against. I never know which of these might be the custom map mods, so I like to see. Always feels like it's freezing there and then should pop up. Yeah, it's just a boring old normal Warhammer. I don't know. This deployment zone looks huge, but it looks like a typical... Yeah, I think it's just a same old Warhammer siege because it's all coming from one direction. So we'll let Archaon continue to siege the world of men, burning their empire.
Let us go.
I don't like getting bogged down in the siege here. It's a pretty significant force that we're going to be up against. Let's get some siege towers here with Sigvald. So let the sieges begin. The siege of Kislev and the siege of Ergig. I don't really know that we're going to have a siege of Karakadrin. Pretty sure Kolek's just going to break down the front door and destroy everybody inside. If I auto-resolve this, it'll probably damage me up too much. I always give myself a quick save here to be safe. Wasn't too bad. Not really a battle worthy of Kolek, you know, having someone fight for him in person. So Kolek has ruined all of the vampire settlements to the south, with the exception of these last couple of von Karstein holdouts. But we'll head that way and rid the map of von Karstein. You can see here that Isabella has an army on the march, potentially heading north. Makes me wonder if she might double over towards Archaon. Not entirely sure what she would be up to. Folks, we got an infestation. An absolute infestation. Do we get a choke point battle because they attacked me at the settlement? Dang. Sometimes they do. This is not going to be such a battle. They don't have any warp lightning cannons. I don't know that this is going to go well for the Skaven without any warp lightning cannons. And I believe this is that the faction leader? Could be. Let's fight it. Alright, so the Battle of Kislev is underway, and Sigvald faces an enormous battle here, which is going to be critical, because if he loses, his army is going to be in big trouble. The Sornling is not immortal, so if he dies here, he dies, which sucks, because he's definitely kind of become a character that we've liked to depend on. Same thing for Sigvald's Polisher, the Metal Sorcerer. Let's go take a look at the Skaven troops as they advance. They've got a front line of rat ogres, and then behind them are a massive number of storm vermin with halberds and a ton of poison wind globadiers. Something I didn't know, 100 armor on poison wind globadiers? Holy crap. I don't know why I haven't really noticed that till now. My hell cannons are dishing out some serious damage to some of the storm vermin. I'm going to be on top of my hill, forcing the Skaven into my superior position. But we're going to have to be very efficient here because the rats outnumber us over 3 to 1 at this point. And taking big losses like we did early here, the stinking filth rats summoned a clan rat unit and then used their stupid bomb ability and completely destroyed one of my warriors with halberds, like immediately, right off the bat. Absolutely hate the fact that they can use that wart bomb on a summoned unit. It is a bunch of crap. So, a bunch of disgusting rat crap. They're trying to get my cannons. I'm not going to let it happen. I have units back there to take care of that. These poison wind globadiers are going to be a pain. I'm trying to get to them with my cavalry, but I'm being chased by tons of Skaven units because right now, because they outnumber me so badly, it's difficult for me to be able to get my cavalry clear. See, the warp lightning is relentless. On top of the summons, some golden hounds were able to help me do a bunch of damage to some of these infantry, but again, the Chaos Warriors with great weapons, these guys do not pull their weight like Chosen, and you can see that they are hurting quite badly already, though my cavalry managed to outmaneuver all that infantry. I killed a bunch of poison wind globadiers here, and the same is true on this flank, and then I'm going to crash into the back of these storm vermin with halberds and try and clean them up quickly, while bringing in a piercing bolts of burning to just try and finish this off quickly. I need these Skaven to rout so I can be ready for the second wave, because there is a pretty large second wave headed my way. You can see the reinforcements back here. We've got to clean this up, and we need to clean it up fast. I'm going to use my hell cannon to continue to target infantry who are on approach, and other storm vermin with halberds. Gets absolutely decimated. My Soul of Damnation actually has more ammo and should get more kills because it's more powerful. Our Chaos Sorcerer had a unit summon on him, but it ended up attacking a Chaos Warrior with halberd instead. You can see my knights at this point pushing back here, and I see that there are two, there's a Plague Priest and a Grey Seer making their way onto the battlefield, and I'm going to hit them with my cavalry, and as well as going after these Gutter Runner Slingers. These units, Gutter Runner Slingers, will cause immense damage to you both in melee and with their missiles, and they are tremendously annoying because they have the snare nets that slow you down as you attempt to charge them. You get really sorry charges, and that's part of the reason why they can cause so much damage to you in melee. You can see my hell cannons managing to completely wipe out one of these storm vermin. I should have already retargeted, though I hadn't quite. I'm able to take out these two leaders, though, and my other cavalry is able to get out here and catch those Gutter Runner Slingers. But not before we start taking some fire here from some more poison wind globadiers. There's more missiles up on this flank. It's really causing difficulties for me and becoming very frustrating. If we take a look at the numbers here, I'm down to 500 troops to face off with the remaining 2,000 rats. So we're still outnumbered about 4 to 1, and we have to pull this off against amazing odds. So I ensured the death of one of those Skaven leaders, but I'm not going to be able to get a hold of this one here before I have to run away from some rat ogres, because I'm not in a good position to defeat those rat ogres. I didn't have a good charge. I don't have anti-large, so I do not like my odds against those rat ogres. I accidentally get caught here with a misclick, and I'm going to have to re-micro that unit over here. We've got some Plague Monk Censer Bearers that are trying to take us out. Got some warriors with great weapons here who are clinging to their lives, and we have a pretty desperate fight on our hands. I'm doing my best with the artillery, which is causing tremendous damage, but there's only so much ammunition it's going to have at this point. I managed to destroy a Death Runner, and then my cavalry has finished mopping up some of these skirmishers out here. One of my flanks is free. I managed to get away from the rat ogres with this knight with lances, and then I'm luring the rat ogres back to my main line, where I've got a unit of warriors with halberds moving to intercept them. So again, a desperate fight, and I am ensuring that I'm doing everything I can to win it. It's not necessarily in our favor yet, but you can see the kill meter starting to swing towards me because my hell cannons are just killing so many hundreds of infantry right now. But one of my hell cannons is actually just about to run out of ammo, and I've only got a few volleys left on the other. So there's only so much the hell cannons are going to be able to help me do, which means that I need to be strategic about the targets that I'm attacking. Right now I've got Sigvald over here helping, but he's going to have to start taking out the Skaven leadership, and then my cavalry is going to have to go risk death in order to punch through the lines and take out remaining leaders like this, and getting after their skirmishers so that their skirmishers can't come up and cause massive damage to me. There's more Poison Wind Globadiers and a lot of clan rats moving up. See the hell cannon firing. We've got a massive blob. I wish both my hell cannons still had ammo because this blob would have been perfect, but I don't. There's more death runners in that blob. I'm going to go ahead and target it with the Soul of Damnation. I couldn't quite get to the Skaven leader over here. I had to retreat with my Chaos Knights, but you can see he actually starts to pursue, which this is going to work to my favor, but I'm taking fire from these stupid Gutter Runner Slingers and the Poison Wind Globadiers. Like I said, this fight continues to grow desperate. There's an assassin here that Sigvald is annihilating. Fortunately, my hell cannons score some more good hits, and I've still got a decent amount of infantry left over here that is holding their ground, but now they're starting to come under fire from Poison Wind Globadiers. This cavalry unit back here is just getting absolutely shredded by Gutter Runner Slingers, which is nuts. Their missile damage isn't that good, but these Chaos Knights are getting absolutely destroyed by it. Gutter Runner Slingers always seem to be overly effective in both melee and with their missiles. I don't know what it is about them, but they work very, very well, even against very armored Chaos Knights who are also shielded. Over here, I finally managed to get this Poison Wind Globadier. I'm going to take them off the battlefield, but you can see the Skaven units continue to regroup and to be incredibly annoying. I'm trying to get some pot shots here with my hell cannon so I can get rid of as many of these Globadiers as possible. This cavalry unit gets bogged down and is going to be routed because it ends up getting caught by Death Runners. I bring my two knights with lances out from behind my line. I held them in reserve. Immediately, they come under fire from a stupid Gutter Runner Slinger, which is going to poison them. And there's another one from back up here shooting at them. The AI has been relentless in its pursuit of my cavalry, and they're still being that way. My cavalry is going to go out here and start to shut down skirmishers. A desperate battle for a character here. He's clinging on to life. And I'm doing my best to try and get to the Skaven leader here, but units of clan rats are getting in the way and throwing their bodies in front of their warlord, not allowing him to be caught by Sigvald. See Sigvald here fighting a pretty good-sized horde of rats, including storm vermin, but he's got the Helm of Discord. I can't afford all this lightning that's coming in. It's damaging my troops badly. The numbers game is still fairly desperate, but we've cut it down to a 2-to-1 numbers game from having been all the way up to about 4-to-1 earlier. So very good for us, all things considered. We were able to take out the one remaining Skaven leader over here, and then that just leaves this assassin over here that needs to go down. So I'm going to send Sigvald in chasing him, try and force his way through, and deal the damage here. Those aspiring champions are holding out very, very strong, which has been good for me. They are rather imposing fellows, though that one just got beheaded by a bunch of filthy rats. Here's the assassin being attacked by Sigvald. And finally you can see a chain rout of the Skaven begins. The numbers finally just turn against them. Desperate, desperate fight. Sigvald up against massive odds, but whoever doubts Slaaneash's Scion? Why should you? Look at the beauty. You cannot doubt Sigvald. His vanity will carry him through in any situation. Holy cow. What a battle. Oh, man. Woo. So the rats had us massively outnumbered. We managed to fight them off, and all those skirmishers were an insane nuisance. Not much else that the Skaven had besides all the warp lightning really did a ton of damage, but just the sheer dang number of rats there just about overcame the quality of the Warriors of Chaos for Sigvald. Man, you can tell that these Warriors of Chaos are not chosen. That's what makes this thematic campaign, I guess, a little more interesting, right? Wow. We got some big-time favor off of that battle. After the turn-in, I'm going to retreat, hit an encampment, and try and save Sigvald's troops. That's going to be all the time that we have for this episode. Actually, Sigvald is actually replenishing right now.
Let us go.
I'm going to break the siege and go ahead, hit the encampment, start down the tribes of chaos for Sigvald. And for the Polisher, boy, he polished off a decent number of rats, all things considered. We should probably get transmutation of lead. That'd be a great way to nerf down big blobs of infantry. Sigvald managed to save every unit in his army, which is honestly quite incredible, considering the odds they were up against. If we can win 3 battles, we can start towards obtaining Sliver Slash. So, should be a good way to head with Sigvald, make him a lot more powerful. We got a Wind Blast. Armor-piercing damage, I love it. Masamoon's Pride. I think that would be a good weapon for Sigvald for the time being. Gives him a Wind Blast ability. So, quite the pickup. Hope to see you all in the next episode of the Archaon campaign. See you then.